The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Steven Zeiss, and welcome to the TowerCoverage.com monthly webinar. We're going to be going over the basics of setting up your Tower Coverage account, also covering some of the new stuff that's come along. We'll kind of focus on that stuff a little bit more in depth than usual. But basically, we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll start with what is TowerCoverage.com. TowerCoverage.com is an RF propagation site that allows you to create heat maps and coverages of your network based on the settings of all of your access points. What this allows you to do is to integrate your account onto your website and also push data from your Tower Coverage account into your billing system. It just literally just makes your whole system run like seamlessly all the way from your website to the actual billing. Helps your installers know where to go, what to expect, all kinds of different powerful tools in Tower Coverage. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Once you have a Tower Coverage account created, we have the option of a 2-day or 14-day trial if you don't already have an account. So you can do a 2-day trial with no obligation whatsoever. You can do the 14-day. It does require a billing agreement for the 14-day, but the billing doesn't start until after the 14th day. So either way you want to go. Once you have your account created, you'll want to go ahead and log into your account. And we'll get started by going to the account section and just kind of making sure that everything in the account is the way it needs to be. You can start out with your company profile. In your company profile, basically whenever you're creating tower sites in your account, the map is going to center. At first it'll center on basically St. Louis, which is where we're at. But if you come into your account, make sure your address and everything is correct and you hit update. What this is going to do is going to try and geolocate your address and assign a lat and long. So that way, whenever you're creating a tower site, the new site page will start wherever the geolocation of your business is. So it makes it a little bit easier when adding towers because the map starts where you're at. One of the very new things that's in Tower Coverage is the spot for a Google Map key. If you're a tier 1, 2, or 3 account, all this does is if you provide a Google Map key, this will make it to where the Street View and the Google Places autocomplete in the address bar will be enabled if you provide a map key. And the reason for this is Google has made made it added some restrictions to key usage, cost versus key usage. So we didn't want to increase the prices on Tower Coverage. So we made it to where, just some of the more expensive type features of the Google Maps, we turn those off just for the lower tiers, but you can enable them. You can obtain a Google Map key, and the chances are you are not going to exceed the free tier with a Google Map key. They allow you like so many calls per month, and usually just a single business won't exceed those. But with Tower Coverage having hundreds and hundreds of accounts, our key gets ran up. So, but it's very easy and simple to create one. Basically, what you do is you go log into a Google account, and you're going to go to console.developers.google.com, and that's going to bring you to the API console. All you have to do is go to the credentials portion, and you're going to create an API key. And once you have that key created, you want to make sure that you add some restriction to it in your application restrictions. You can do it several different ways, and this just makes it to where other people can't inspect the code of your website or something like that and utilize your API key and run your calls up. Once you have the key created and the restrictions set, you'll want to go to the library section of the Google APIs. And what you're going to want to do is, if you search for Java, the map JavaScript API is right here, and it will say enable right here if it's not already enabled. And then you're also going to want to enable places. So the places API as well, and also geocoding. So these are the three things that you'll want to enable on your API key, and this goes for not only putting it into your Tower Coverage account for enabling that the street view and those options. If you're using the custom form of the end user submission process, if you're using that custom form, whether it be the template generator from TowerCoverage.com or your web developer creates your own form, and you have it where it follows up with a map location, you're going to want to make sure that the JavaScript is enabled, so that way the maps will show up and appear properly. Once you have those enabled, then you can simply go back to your credentials and you can just copy your API key out front that you've created, and that makes it to where you can just simply put it into here. You do not have to put one. Like I said, that your Tower Coverage account will work just fine. It isn't going to stop it from working or stop your maps from working. It simply just makes that autocomplete whenever you're typing an address. It auto completes the address and gives you suggested results, and then it also enables the street view. Once you have your company profile set up, you're going to want to set up users. You can set 3 different types of users. There's an admin, there's an input, and a read-only. An input user can create coverages. A read-only user cannot. You can set whatever their start page is that you want them to be on. So if you create a sales group login, you can set it to where they, by default, when they log in, it opens up to the MultiMap that you want them performing path analysis to. So anything like that. You can create up to 2 more admins. So the first admin on the account, the creator of the account, will be the master account. You can create 2 more admins on the account. Be careful when doing this though, because any other admin that you create on the account does have the ability to upgrade, downgrade, delete maps, so on and so forth. They can do anything that you can do. The only exception is you can edit the other 2 admins. They cannot edit you. Is the only difference between the original admin and the 2 additionals. Once you have that all set up, there is a managed subscription option here. In the managed subscription option, you'll see that we have all the different tiers that are available. When you select to sign up, it by default will take you to, it'll give you the information on what you're upgrading to. We have the credit card process is now available and live, so that way you do not have to use PayPal anymore. It is through authorized.net, as you can see down here. And if you really do want to use PayPal, it is still available up here in the top right corner. The upload logo section, this has to be a small image. It's a PNG or a JPEG image. This is basically so that way whenever you're doing a link path, if you do a point-to-point link and you decide you want to print the link, instead of it just being the Tower Coverage logo at the top, it's going to have your logo up there. This is so that way you can do a point-to-point link if you're doing a bid for somebody. Print the link out, and then your logo will be on the top of that page. So that way you can take it to a meeting or whatever and show them what your potential link is. We have the EUS Settings page. This is how the iframe responds. This has nothing to do with if you're using the template generator or the custom form. This will not affect that at all. But this is just for the modification of the EUS iframe and how it behaves. So you have a couple different options. You can display your coverage map zoomed in on the client with a thanks message, which displays your coverage to them. You can display just the message, or you can redirect them to a different page on your website. By choosing that, you simply just select that, and you remove this message out of here, and you put a URL, and the iframe will redirect them to that. The movable pin text, this is the little pop-up window after they fill in their address and they hit next. The pin will display and it'll have a message. Right now, by default, it says to move this pin to the exact location. Click on where you wish to have service. So you can change that or even this message URL to whatever you want it to be. Keep in mind, it does have to be a very short message. It cannot be multiple paragraphs, so that no return characters are allowed. So it does have to be pretty short and sweet. You can add up to 4 more email addresses, to receive the EUS submissions. Whenever an EUS submission comes through, we're going to email you the 6 best possible links and also the customer information. You can add a recipient group if you like into one of these fields, totally up to you. And then you also have the default settings down here where you can select the default country and the default state or province that you want to be displayed on the iframe. So that way it defaults to your state and country. That way they don't have to, just a little bit less they have to do. The EUS iframe text over here, you can change whatever the actual headers are of each row of the iframe window. Excuse me. It does not change what that requirement is. It only just changes the text. So if you want the text to be displayed in a different language, then this is where you would do that. You would simply put the same thing you see on the left over here on the right, but in whatever language you want it to be. You're going to want to update your land cover settings. Land cover settings by default, everybody has a standard land cover settings, as you can see here in our little drop down menu. We have 2 in here because we created one. Everybody has a standard, but it starts out with our average heights, all in meters, and the density is a 0 to 10,000% value. So you can go from anywhere from 0 to 10,000. And the land cover data that we have, it knows what is where. So basically you just want to set all these values that are pertinent for your area. And so an example of that would be if you're in an area where it's a redwood forest, you're going to want to make sure that you set the trees accordingly for the height. If you're out in Arizona or something like that, where all the trees are pretty well short, or in the middle of Kansas where it's just barren, everything is a lot shorter and the trees have less density to them. Less rainfall means less dense trees. So you'll have these densities down a little bit further. You can also create, if you're wanting to have some of your coverages where they're very conservative, you can do something such as this. This is our example 50%. So as you can see, all of our densities are roughly 50% density. So that way more loss is calculated in whenever trees and clutter come into play. One of the key things that you're going to want to look at whenever you're on your land cover settings is the urban settings down here in the bottom right. In the clutter data, the data does not know the exact height of every single building. So what it does is based upon the footprint of the structure, it tries to determine whether that's an urban buildup low or urban buildup high. So what you're going to want to do is whatever the average height is for the smallest buildings around your area, you'll want to set that for your low, and whatever the maximum height for big buildings in your area is, you're going to want to set that height for the urban buildup high. Keep in mind, when you're setting this, when you're creating coverages, your average client antenna height, if your average client antenna height is lower than what your urban settings are and you're in an urban area, a lot of times you're going to see coverages that don't show a lot of coverage because your urban buildup setting is higher than what your average client antenna height is. Same is the case for when you're setting the antenna height of your APs. If you're being very accurate with your AP heights and you set it to 15 meters, but your urban buildup high setting is set to 20 meters high, whenever you generate those coverages, that coverage is going to believe that the antenna is actually inside a building. So your coverages are going to be very small. So keep that in mind when setting these settings and also when creating your coverages. In your Tower Coverage account, you can upload antenna files. This allows you to obtain the radio mobile compatible .ant file from any antenna that you wish to use. We have a lot of antennas already loaded in there, but if you wish to use a different antenna, you don't see it in the drop-down list, you can simply email the manufacturer and ask them for the radio mobile compatible .ant file for that antenna. You can come in here, you can give it a name, set the beam width filter. We do suggest that you don't use the advertised beam width filter. You want to use the beam width filter, or the advertised beam width, excuse me, plus whatever side lobes they have, because the beam width filter setting in coverages, and we'll cover it a little bit more as well when we get to coverages, but the beam width filter setting, basically it makes it to where EUS submissions and path analysis cannot be submitted from outside that beam width. What that does is prevents the 6 best possible links when a path analysis or an EUS submission is done. It prevents a coverage from being displayed as a good link if that customer has a good signal to the back face of a sector. So that's not something you want to do, but you know all antennas have a little bit of back feed, but you don't want to connect to them. You'll put your manufacturer name in, you choose your file, and you hit update, and then you will see your antennas appear over here in the left-hand side. They will also become available in the drop-down list of the coverage under the uploaded antenna patterns. You can also add overlays into your account. What this does is allows you to add a static overlay. If you have like an overlay of building locations, pertinent information to your business that you want to be able to see on the map, along with your coverages, your RF coverages, or your fiber coverages. This is where you would add those. It's very simple to do. You give your overlay a name, and then you upload a KML or KMZ file. It does have to be smaller than 3 meg. That is a Google Maps restriction. There's nothing we can do to increase that. So if it's larger than 3 meg, you'll have to break it down into sections. But whenever you're uploading those KMLs or KMZ files, make sure you don't put any special characters or spaces in the name, so that way it'll upload nice and smoothly for you. And then also down here at the bottom, if you have any questions, can't find anything, we have the contact us. This form will give you a verification code. You can give us a call, and whenever we get with you, you can give us that verification code. It makes it really easy for us to locate your account, hop into your account, see what you're seeing, that type deal. It makes it really simple for us to assist you. Those codes do expire, so make sure you do it just before you give us a call, or you can just wait till we actually get on the phone, then click it and give us the code. What this does as well is lets us know the person that clicked the contact. It lets us know that hey, this is a read-only user. If they're asking questions about the account information, we know not to give your read-only users information that they're not supposed to have. So it's just advanced security for your account. Or you can just fill out this box right here, type whatever you want, and hit send down at the bottom, and that will send an email to support at Tower Coverage as well. Or you can just send an email through your email system, whichever one you want to do. We're here to help you. So our phone numbers are here as well. So feel free to contact us if all of your questions aren't answered here in the webinar. There's also a lot of information on the Tower Coverage Wiki. There's all kinds of information there that'll help you. And last but not least, there's also a tutorial up here in the top left that you can turn on. The contents of the tutorial is just a small little box that the information inside the tutorial, as you can see, will change depending on what page you're on. So if you're on coverages, the information in the tutorial will be pertinent to the coverages. Here we're on the main screen, so it'll give you information and kind of highlight what you're actually reading about as well. So you can turn that on and off as you like. If you have it on, you can close that window, and the next time you change pages, it'll pop open again for you. Or you can just turn it off if you don't want to see it anymore. All right, once you have all of your account all set up and everything, then you're going to want to start actually creating your account. The first step would be to create a new site. Your sites can be added. Your sites are your tower locations. So whenever you're locating your tower locations, you can do it several different ways. You can enter the address up here in the search bar and hit search, and it will move the pin to the correct location. Anytime this pin moves, the decimal, latitude, and longitude are going to automatically update for you, so you don't have to worry about that. You can enter the decimal, latitude, and longitude, or you can enter the DMS latitude and longitude. Keep in mind these values on the latitude and longitude, and also the degrees field of the DMS, lat, and long need to be positive or negative according to where you're at. So as you can see here in the northwest hemisphere, we have a positive latitude and a negative longitude. Applies same to DMS. All you have to do is simply either put in your latitude and longitude, search your address, or you can just click around on the map and it will move your pin. You can select a different pin color. As you can see, the pin colors change. Or the other way to do it would be to import sites from a CSV. So that makes it very simple. You can just click on that. There's a template download right here. Whenever you're trying to import your sites using the CSV, you do have to keep in mind that you have to have a site name. That is required when adding your sites. You do have to put the height in meters, even if it is 0. And the latitude and longitude have to be in the decimal degrees. It will not accept it in DMS. The description and group, just like here on this page, they can be left blank if you choose to do so. Once you've done that, you can import them and all of your sites will appear in your Tower Coverage account. In your sites list page, you can actually edit them right from here as well. If you just simply click on our little edit site button, you can see that it pops up over here. Or you can still actually just click on the name and it'll take you very similarly back to where we were. And you can also view all of your sites from the map view as well. Once you have your sites in, you're going to want to start creating coverages. Before you create coverages, you can do another step if you wish to. If you have a lot of your antenna setups that are absolutely identical, just on different towers, different locations, you can create a new radio system. The radio system option is basically a cookie cutter for your Tower Coverage account, so it allows you to apply. You can apply the same setup over and over again without having to set up those, do all of those settings over and over again whenever you're creating coverages. If you create a radio system, it will appear in this drop-down menu right here on creating a coverage. As you can see, it says select radio system, but it is optional. You do not have to select one. You can just go through and start doing the settings. When you're doing creating coverages, you can simply just select the tower site. Whenever you select your tower site, by default, it's going to set whatever you set the tower height to. It's going to set the antenna height to that. You can change it as you like. Your RX threshold, which is recommended to be set as the minimum signal requirement for an install. Keep in mind this is RSSI. If you are doing an LTE coverage, LTE CPEs generally display their signal readings in RSRP, so it's roughly, depending on channel width, roughly 20 to 30 dB difference from RSSI. Your required reliability setting, this is essentially a fudge factor setting. So if you have a lot of noise in your area, you can turn this up. If your antenna has a lot of loss per distance, you can turn it up. If it carries really well and the noise is really low, you can turn this down. It's basically a way for you to add or subtract statistical loss from a coverage to get it more accurate when receiving path analysis in the EUS submissions. Use land cover settings. We do recommend that you leave this on. By turning this off, it essentially removes all trees and buildings from your coverage area, thus giving you inaccurate results for Wi-Fi applications. Use land cover type. As you can see, our two different land covers that we have in our account are available in this drop-down menu. Use 2-rays is if you're using LTE or something that has multipath, you'll want to turn this on. Create view shed does basically the opposite as turning off the land cover. It takes your land cover setting height, uses the heights from your setting, but then ignores the density and sets them all to 10,000. The LTE coverage, the only thing this affects is the path analysis from a single coverage. So that way when you do a path analysis, if this is marked as an LTE coverage, it will utilize this channel width and the RSSI reading of the path analysis, and it will actually calculate and display to you what the RSRP reading would be when you do a path analysis from a single coverage. Your RX settings down here, the average client antenna height. This is the average height for installs in the area of this coverage. So basically, if you're putting this, if this coverage is going to be pointing at a subdivision full of one-story ranch houses, then you're going to want to set that, 4 or 5 meters at the most. If it's a bunch of 3-story houses in a subdivision, then you can go a bit higher for your average antenna height. Client antenna gain, we recommend that you put the largest antenna that you're going to be doing installs with. That makes it to where you're going to get a coverage of everything that you can possibly get, but if a path analysis reveals that the projected signal is like a -30, -40, you know that you don't have to take that huge antenna with you. You can just take a much smaller antenna. Your RX loss and your TX loss are basically both the same thing. Generally, if you're using integrated antennas, stuff like that, 0.5, maybe 1 is good for the RX and TX loss. But if you are using LMR or running cables and stuff between the radio and the antenna, you're going to want to look at the specs of that cable that you're using, find out what the loss per foot is and calculate that out, and put that in here so that way you're getting accurate projections. As I said before, we do have many antennas available in here. If you do not see the antenna that you wish to use, we have the generics in here that are pretty tried and true, but also your uploaded antenna patterns will appear in here as well. So that way you can select your antenna that you wish to use. You're going to set your antenna gain and your TX power, what their true power is. Make sure you don't put your EIRP in here, because Tower Coverage is going to calculate that by using your antenna gain, your TX power, and your loss. It's going to calculate that out for you. So make sure you put the true gain of the antenna and the true power of the radio. Your EUS beam width filter, this is what we kind of covered before. So basically, if you have if the antenna you're using is a 65-degree advertised sector, on like a 365, basically it's going to probably actually give a good 90-degree spread, sometimes more, 100, 120. It's going to give a larger spread than what the advertised beam width filter actually says. So you want to make sure you set that accordingly. One second here, I apologize. Oh, there we go. Okay. As you continue going down through here, your antenna azimuth, you want to make sure that you're doing azimuth based on true north, not magnetic north. So whenever you're taking those readings for the direction your coverages are pointing, you want to make sure you're using that true north reading. Your antenna tilt. This is if you're using an antenna pattern from a manufacturer, the electrical tilt is already calculated into the antenna pattern. So don't put any of that electrical tilt in here. This is just the mechanical tilt. So basically what you're going to want to do is if you're sitting on top of a hill and you pointed your sector down 2 degrees, you're going to want to make sure that you put a -2 in this value. Negative values signify a down tilt. Positive values signify an up tilt. We have many frequencies available in here. Pretty much everything with the exception of the FM band. If you do not see a frequency in here that you wish to use, send us an email, support@TowerCoverage.com. Let us know, and we'll get her added in there for you. Exact center frequency, this is not a required field. This is basically for your own personal notes type thing. And it also, if you have a value in here, the frequency usage overlay will actually be available for use on your MultiMap when you get to that point. Already covered the TX power and the loss. And then up here in the overlay settings, we have the rendering quality. As you're setting up your coverage, if you do them on low resolution, they'll process a whole lot faster. And then once you actually have them all honed in, you've tested some data points and stuff, and you've got them set up the way you want, then you can process them on the very high resolution, which gives you the crisper, cleaner maps. And that way it doesn't buffer those edges quite as much, so that way you see a better quality map. Your strong signal margin, what this is the difference between the weak signal and the strong signal color based on the RX threshold as well. So as you can see, we have the -70 here, and as we move our strong signal margin, the weak signal and strong signal areas or colors, the range that they display in, it changes along with it. So right now, a -70 to a -63 is going to display in the weak signal color, and anything hotter than a -63 is going to display in the strong signal color. You can change these colors to whatever color you wish to change them to. Keep in mind that when it goes into a multi-map, it is going to default back to light green for the strong signal and dark green for the weak signal. Multi-maps will always default back to those colors, and that's simply just so that way our public map, everybody's maps overlays look the same on the public map. Your opacity is just what it says. It's how light or dark or how opaque your the coverage actually is. If you turn it up to 100%, then you're not going to be able to see any of the roads, streets, buildings, trees, anything through the coverage color area. If you turn it down to 0, you're barely going to be able to see it. So you got to have really good eyes to use that. So by default, it's at the 50% area. Your maximum range, we do recommend that you don't turn this down too low. It does lower if you turn it down to extremely low, it starts lowering the resolution of the terrain data just because the distance is so small. And if you can set it up to 70 kilometers, but this will not make the coverage propagate out past 30 kilometers. The maximum propagation range is 30 kilometers, but what this will do is allow a path analysis or an EUS submission to happen all the way out to the distance that you set it to. And then finally, down here in the bottom, we have our coverage array setting. So basically what this does is allows you to create multiple coverages at the exact same time. For example, right now we have a 60-degree advertised antenna. So what it's going to do is take your EUS beam width filter setting and your azimuth, and it's going to try and calculate what you might be wanting to do. It's going to let you know how many coverages you have available down here in the bottom. What this does, this setting does though, is it takes and gives you the option of evenly spacing them or not, selecting how many coverages that you wish to create, and setting the advertised beam width so that way it knows where to place those sectors in a 360 circle. So if you were to select a 90-degree sector for a nice easy example, if we select a 90-degree sector and we have our antenna azimuth set to 0, which is pointing due north, it's going to take and it's going to place the first sector at due north, and it's going to, whatever you name your coverage up here, it's going to tack on the word 0 degree at the end of that coverage. Then the second one, it's going to place it at 90 degrees and it'll tack on 90 degree at the end of your coverage name, and so on and so forth until it gets done making your 4 coverages. What this will do is allow you to populate an entire tower all at the same time with one coverage creation page. Once you have everything done, you simply hit your create coverage down here and it puts them all into processing. As you can see, we have already done the same thing. You can see right in here that we have a 0 degree, a 90 degree, a 180, and a 270 degree coverage that are already in here. So we have our tower all populated with one coverage map. After that, we're going to go in and we're going to create any fiber coverages if we wish to create any. Fiber coverages are very, very simple to create. You can simply come in here and find the location where your fiber runs. You can start clicking on the map. You can click up to 25 pins per coverage or 75 kilometers. Once you have reached that, it will give you a notice and let you know that you've reached that, and then you just simply create another coverage, start where you left off and move forward. Name your coverages accordingly. Obviously, your distance allowed is the maximum distance that you wish to receive notice that a EUS submission is within a fiber. The rest of this is pretty much for your notes only. It doesn't display anywhere to your customers or anything like that. You have your strand count. You can change the individual color of a fiber map, but it does default back to default colors. It does a light blue with the orange border when it goes into a multi-map, and you have your notes, your mode, and your type selection. Once you have your fiber coverages created, you can create links if you wish to. You can draw out the backbone of your network if you want. You can do links to your repeater sites, however you wish to do that. A link is a very simple thing that allows you to see the details of a point-to-point link. The radio system option does show up in here, but as you can see, there is no antenna option. A point-to-point link, we assume that you are going to use proper alignment, so no antenna pattern is needed. As you can see, this link here, it shows the terrain in the breakdown here. You can see all the different land cover types that fall in between. If you want to see where this little red spot is, the urban buildup high type scenario, you can get kind of close to it, and you can see that this little building area right here is signified as urban buildup high area. It also lets you know what the distance from the ground, not from the land cover, but from the ground all the way to the center beam is. As you slide it, it lets you know what the beam height is at that location as well. So it kind of lets you know what kind of clearance you have. Most of your settings in a link are identical to a coverage creation, so we won't go over them in complete detail, but keep in mind that anytime you do have a question over a setting, most of them you can kind of just hover over the label of a field, and it'll give you some answers as well. So we try to make sure that there's all kinds of tools for you to be able to use. We also have the little help icons spread throughout Tower Coverage that will take you to the according or the proper wiki page as well if you have any questions. There's a lot of data in the links, gives you azimuth degrees, tilts that you would need to point these at to get proper alignment, what your arc sensitivity and what the projected signal and stuff is as well. And then we also have the Google Earth flyby path download. What this does is downloads a KML of this point-to-point link and allows you to put it into Google Earth, and Google Earth has a nifty little fly path feature, and if 3D imagery is available in your area, you can actually see if the line is penetrating through any of the trees or any of the 3D obstacles that are in Google Earth if it's available in your area. Once you have all of your links created, you can create a link group out of your links, which is very simple. You can select what color you want those links to be. You simply give them a name, and what this does is allows you to create a link group, so that way when you get to your MultiMap, you can actually see these links visible on your multi-coverage as well. And finally, once you've got all your link groups done, now it's time to start working on the most powerful part of Tower Coverage, which is the multi-map. Creating a multi-map is extremely simple, just because all you have to do is start selecting what you want to add into the multi-map. You can check them all if you like, or you can check specific ones, and then you just if you check them all and hit Add Selected, it'll put them over here into the right side. If you made a mistake, it's very simple to take them back out again. You give it a multi-map name, and then you kind of go through the rest of these settings that kind of define what this map is for. You can place pins on sites. This allows you to see your tower locations whenever you're viewing your multi-map. You do not have to worry about if you're using the website integration, your tower locations will not be displayed on your website. So you don't have to worry about that. The place pins on site is simply for your use only. It also allows you, if you have the pins on your site, it allows you to click on those pins and see what the details of that tower is. So if you put any notes in your site when creating your sites, those notes and stuff on the group and description will display whenever you click on those pins. So like you can put the max speed of the tower or whatever, so that way your sales team can just click on the pin when they're talking to a customer and kind of get an idea of what the max they can provide them or whatever. The EUS data collection form, what this checkbox does is tells the EUS iframe whether when that iframe is called to display the EUS form or to display the active map. So if you want to display the form and your map, you can do so. You can create two identical multi-maps, name one EUS collection, name one viewable map, have them identically the same with the exception of one has the data collection form on and one does not. Then you take the iframe from each map and put those on your website, and then you get both. So totally up to you. Display fiber on your iframe. So if you have this data collection form checkbox off and this fiber iframe on, whenever the map is displayed on your website, it will display the polygons of your fiber coverages as well. And then the last checkbox here, make this map publicly viewable. What this does is this is you electing whether you would like your map to be displayed on Tower Coverage's public map or not. Keep in mind, if you do not display a map on the public map, we have the Find a Provider feature on our homepage. And what that does is if there are customers in your area that are looking for service and they don't know that you exist, but they happen to stumble across TowerCoverage.com, they can click on our Find a Provider and they can fill out our EUS form. And what we're going to do is if that customer is within 50 miles of one of your coverages, we're going to send their information to you and let you know that there's somebody in your area looking for service that doesn't know about you. So that way you can give them a call and contact them. Keep in mind, if there's multiple providers in your area, they're going to get it too. So you definitely want to be quick on those. And then finally, your zoom level. By default, it's zoomed out pretty far. If you take it, the further to the right you take it, the more zoomed in it is. If you take it all the way to the left, it's a world view. So totally up to you where you want the zoom level to be on your map. Once your map is rendered, they render relatively quickly. We did increase the resolution of multi-maps in our last patch yesterday. So maps are actually generating in a much higher resolution. Another thing that we improved on yesterday as well is we removed the necessity to clear browser cache when updating and reloading maps. All maps and coverages now have a versioning to them, so it is impossible for your browser to display you an old cached image. Now we've corrected that issue, and now it's a much better and smoother process for you. Once you're in your multi-map, as you can see, there's a lot of tools here available in the multi-map. As I stated before, the address feature up here, the address search feature rather. If you have a Google Map key, this is what we're referring to with the suggested addresses when you're searching. So if you provide that key, you'll get these suggested searches. This address bar will still work just fine without a key. It just won't give you the suggestions, and you have to be a little more exact when typing in, when searching for an address on the multi-map. And adding that key also activates this little fella in the top left corner. So it gives you access to him, so that way you can actually do the street view from places on your map as well. Other than that, there's all kinds of different other settings. You can see that you can toggle your options right here in the top right corner. These are instantly updated, so if you click them and toggle them, then they're going to automatically update. As you can see, our data collection was off. We toggled it on, and now that it's on, we hit the test iframe button, and our iframe is actually utilizing the EUS data form. Getting the iframe code from your website is also up here in the top left. It's very, very simple as well. You hit the copy iframe, and it will copy it to your clipboard. If you're using a Mac, it will actually display the iframe code to you, and you have to actually copy it because they do not. A Mac doesn't allow us to copy to your clipboard with a button click. So we had to add that in there. And then updating the settings of your map is also up in here. You can add or subtract coverages from your multi-map very simply. The ones that are already in your map are over here on the right. The ones that are not in your map are over here on the left. As you can see, we have them all in here, but you can take them out as you wish. It'll highlight them in orange to let you know that when you click this update multi-map button, anything highlighted in orange is the changes that are going to be made. And then you can also order files from your multi-map right here in the top of your screen as well. We have several different things that you can order. You got the KML shape files. You got the fixed broadband deployment. If you're doing your FCC Form 477, you can order your deployment data right here from within your multi-map, and you also get the Google Earth KML shape files when you do the deployment data as well. So you get your census blocks, and you also get your shape files as well. If you do not have a CRM that exports the subscription data CSV for you for your 477 form, you can simply do that here in Tower Coverage as well. Basically, you just upload all the address locations. We don't need your customer information, just all the physical address locations and whatever the speed provided is or advertised to each location. And then you upload that into the subscription data order, and it'll process it to geocode. If you did not provide Latin long, we will attempt to geocode those for you and let you know if we can't geocode any of them, so that way it gives you the option to be able to add those GPS coordinates. And then you process the census tracts, and it will actually create the completed subscription data CSV for you to upload directly in your 477 account. Your FCC 477 account, I mean. And then also, if you really don't want to do the 477, you can give LinkText a call, and we'd be happy to help you do it as well. We do provide a billable time service that we will actually complete it for you if you like. And finally, here you have the address list download feature, which is very powerful. What it does is it takes this coverage of your multi-map, And it uses only the areas that you actually have a positive signal margin, i.e. the colored areas. It makes a polygon out of those, and then it runs this polygon through an address database, and it will actually tell you what the count, how many addresses are in this coverage area. One of the things that you can do is create a multi-map. You can create these same coverages, except turn your RX threshold down to like a -50. Create a multi-map out of it and go run the address list feature. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you just addresses, the available physical addresses that fall within a coverage. And that way you know that every address that you purchase, you can send them a flyer because you've got the address list of all your -50 or better. So that way you're not sending out thousands and thousands of flyers to people that you can't even get service to. So it's a very powerful little added feature that we've got added in there as well. Down here in the bottom of your screen, it makes it to where we have the different map type options. We have terrain data. If you want to view your terrain, if you want to go dark, so that way you can see your coverage a little bit better. We do have the radar, which is powered by Weather Underground. So if you just want to see what the clouds are looking like, or the precipitation around your area is. Your KML overlays from your overlay management, they will appear here in this list as well. We've got some default ones in there just for testing and display purposes. Your link groups, if you want to view the link groups that you created within your account, those are viewable as well. So that way you can actually see those link groups. You can simply click on the line and it'll actually show you what the statistics of that link that you created are. And then you have the frequency overlay as well. So as you can see, we created the 365 and we actually put them all back to back, so it shows you that it is the 365 frequency all around in the circle here. And down here you also have some data for you, how much area is covered, what the estimated population is, where the map center is. And then you can also do a couple different things down in here. If you drop a pin on the map, turn our frequency overlay off. You can drop a pin on the map and you can set your map center, so that way each time the map opens, it will open the map on that center point. And then you can also set the zoom level. Anytime you move this slider, it's automatically updating the setting of the map, so you don't have to worry about updating or anything. Anytime you move it, the next time it opens, it's going to open it up to wherever you had that slider at. The opacity setting is not a saved setting. It just allows you to kind of see through stuff. The opacity setting of a multi-coverage is always default to the same, so your opacity of your coverages does not affect this, but this slider will allow you to make it lighter or darker, however you wish. We have the ASR database, which is all of the registered towers that the FCC has in their database. What it's going to do when you click that, it's going to populate all the registered towers within 20 miles of the center of wherever the center of your current view is. If you move it, it'll reopen them. You can click on these and it'll actually give you a link and will redirect you to the FCC's webpage and give you the information about that tower, to include the contact information and everything for that tower as well. And then we also have down here, there is your View EUS. We haven't done an EUS submission yet, so we will actually put one of those in right now, so that way you can see what those look like. This is what your customers are actually going to see if you integrate onto your website. So you can use the custom form. You do not have to use this iframe one. You can create a custom form if you want to, and use the API version. But this is basically what they're going to see when you integrate onto your site. So what this does is, after they submit, it gives them all the messages and everything, and you'll see that in your EUS data, it populates in there and gives you the results. And you will, since this location is only reachable by one of the access points, we only have one result. But as you can see, it falls directly in the fiber coverage called Highway Y to Highway M, and it has a good link of a -44 to our Dittmer 365 90 degree. So you can see that it's very powerful and it's very quick, and you also receive an email with these results as well. So basically, we can then change this to a serviceable customer. It automatically updates it. So when we go back to our map and we view our EUS data, we can hit our All EUS Data. And I put that as serviceable. There it is. Put it as serviceable, and I put it kind of close, but it's right there. So then you can click on that, and it shows you all the information about this as well. So essentially what you can do is each day when you come into work, you can open up your map, you can hit View All EUS. All EUS submissions come through as the yellow pin or New EUS. And then you can open up the map, see what new EUS you have in there, take a look, open them up, set them whether they're serviceable or not serviceable, and that allows you to keep your map up to date, visually up to date. Makes it very easy to see what new submissions you have had throughout the night. Very, very simple and easy to track. And then you have the power of the EUS data as well. We have several different options in here. We have our quick search that allows you to quickly search things, but we also have the advanced search over here. You can save your advanced search, so we can create a advanced search for our serviceable and just simply select that, tell it to show our duplicates and hit submit. And our serviceable pin is going to show up as to where if we create a save search and we put no service and we just select our no service pins, you'll see none of them show up. What this does is now we have saved searches available in here, so we can go and we can view our serviceable, our no service, our new EUS, whichever you want to do. Keep in mind you can create other pin types as well, something that I didn't really cover. You can create as many pin types as you like. It is in your EUS settings under Add Custom Pin. We have a bunch of different icons here. You can create whatever you like. If you have a customer that keeps not paying his bill, you can put a little mad face on it and give it a pin name, and you can assign pin types, whatever pin types you like. And then once you have your saved searches, what that does is allows you to, and I didn't have an example open up, but I will get one open up as well. It allows you to create a best tower. You can take those saved searches and you can run them through our best tower feature. So basically what this does is it takes all of the EUS submissions that are in that saved search, and you can create a best tower feature out of it. And you can set some parameters, land cover seen as penetration, no land cover, or as solid obstructions. Set whatever the average setting of the coverage that you would potentially like to put up. So if you're wanting to put up a tower somewhere, but you want to know the best location to put it, you go and you pick your no service EUS submissions, you put it through a best tower submission, and you kind of set the parameters of the tower you want to pull up. And the best tower feature is going to assume that you're going to attempt to do 360 degree coverage. So as you can see, it doesn't ask for what direction or anything that you're pointing. But you set all of this and you hit your create best tower, and it will render that best tower. Keep in mind, this does take some time to process at times, just because it is millions and millions of calculations. So basically what it does is it checks every pixel in the given area and does a reverse path analysis from each pixel to all of the submissions that are submitted, and it generates a color. Whether it be a cooler color because nobody was able to be reached, or a very, very bright red or warm color because everybody was able to be reached. And I will actually show you an example here. If you give me one sec, of one that's actually completed. Here we go. So we have an example as well of one of those best tower results. So basically what this one here was 173 submissions were submitted into the best tower location. And as it opens up here, you can see these little orange dots are appearing as well. And we have the heat map with the cooler and the warmer colors. So if you're actually wanting to build a tower, you could actually go in here and find where the warmest area is. And you can click on that area, and it's actually going to give you what the address at that location is, the latitude and longitude. Or if you're not actually wanting to build a tower, you can just find one of the already registered towers that's in a hotspot, and click that and click your link just like we did from the MultiMap and get the contact information to who owns that tower and where it's at, and go and see if you can get some space on that tower, because you know that you're going to be able to get a good portion of those no-go service, no-go EUS data entries that you couldn't get before. So there's a lot of powerful things with the TowerCoverage EUS system. So it makes it to where you can do a whole bunch of stuff, and then you can integrate it into your website, in your API settings. You can put didn't have it open. So when those get pushed to your billing system, you can actually set your billing system in here. So that way it pushes to your data. We don't have anything set up, so it's broke on me. But basically what you can do is set your API key, whatever your billing system is. Get the API key, the push URL, the username and password if they require it. And anytime those submissions are pushed into TowerCoverage, we're going to push them out to them. So that way, depending on whatever the billing platform is, we'll determine how that responds. I know some of them create a ticket, some of them actually create an account. It's just all depending on what their system does. But with that, we have a couple smaller features that you can do. One of the other things that we did add as well is on the delete process of a coverage. It used to be where whenever you delete a coverage, it would pop up and let you know you can't delete this because it's in a multi-map. We added a nice little thing to where whenever you select a coverage to delete, so if we select this Dittmer 3650 degree, it's going to let us know that it's included in a multi-map. And it lists any maps here that are going to be affected. If it is the last coverage in the map, it will delete that multi-map, so take caution when doing that. But it makes it to where whenever you click that and you remove that coverage, as you can see, it automatically started reprocessing our map as well. So we don't have to go and hunt those down anymore. If fiber coverages are instantly removed as well, and coverages are processed and removed immediately. So as you can see now, the 0 degree area is missing the wedge out of it, and it's got the darker area. And as you can tell, we didn't have to clear any cache or anything. It automatically removed it as well. So we got our north side wedge is missing coverage area. The path analysis feature on the multi-map will actually let you know that we removed that, because now it doesn't fall in any coverages as well. The multi-map path analysis will give you all of your RSSI readings. You can do the path analysis down here from the bottom, or you can just simply double click the pin. We'll do the same results as well. It gives your everything that a single coverage does, except it gives the signal reading in RSSI instead of RSRP, and it will display the 6 possible over here on the right that you can cycle through them, and has the same thing with the land cover slider as well, so that way you can kind of tell where different things are. And with that kind of wraps up our Tower Coverage Basics demo. We do have, don't see any questions in the questions panel as of yet. I'll hold off for just a minute here, just in case anybody has any questions. But if you do not, at this time, if you can think of anything else in the future, like I covered before, we do have the contact us here. You can give us a call. We are here 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Feel free to give us a call if you want to chat with us. Or you can send us an email with the contact us form, or you can just shoot us an email at support@TowerCoverage.com. A lot of powerful information in the wiki, as well as all the previously recorded webinars are there as well. And I'll just hold off a couple minutes. I don't see anybody putting any questions in at this time, but if you do, feel free to put any questions, or just send us an email after the webinar, or give us a call, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that way as well. But if nobody has any questions, thank you very much for coming, and let us know if you need any help.